Danny here. Another nap time chat. Ivy's been asleep for a while. I always look here because this is where my monitor is. So I don't know how much time we have, but let's do this. We are talking about sugar cravings. I love talking about sugar cravings because I think it's something that so many people struggle with. I know I used to struggle with it, still do sometimes, but now understand why I have them. So the reason that I love talking about sugar cravings is because it's not about willpower. For so long, I thought that I just needed to have more willpower to stop eating so much sugar. And I love sharing the reasons why we actually crave sugar from a physiological point of view and sometimes emotional, to help you understand that it's not just about willpower. It's not just about trying to have more willpower to have the motivation or, whatever it is, that there's actual reasons why we crave sugar and that we can work on minimizing those reasons or those causes so that we're not craving sugar at all, or definitely not as much, or not feeling out of control with our sugar cravings. So I have some notes because I tend to jump on and then get nervous and go blank and forget what I'm going to say. So I have some notes to keep me on track. So I really wanted to talk about why we have sugar cravings, where they come from, and how we can actually work from the ground up in actually reducing the cravings in the first place, rather than continuing to do the things that cause the cravings and then kind of fighting that battle against the cravings every day. So first one, energy and sleep. So studies have shown over and over again, if we're not getting enough sleep and we're not getting enough quality sleep overnight, then we will crave more sugar the next day. Part of this is because sugar gives us that kind of quick energy boost. So when we eat sugar, it goes straight into our body and gives us the kind of energy hit, but it's very short-lived. So if you haven't had enough sleep, you may search for sugar just for that energy hit. But also when we're sleep deprived, whether from like the amount of time or just from the quality of the sleep, then we're craving higher calorie foods as well. So our metabolic processes get all kind of messed up when we're not getting enough sleep. We crave higher calorie foods and we crave sugar for energy. So sugar kind of gives us both of those. It's high in calories and it's going to give us that quick energy hit straight into the system. So in terms of the way energy works, obviously like deep fried foods are high calorie and then high sugar foods are high calorie. But if we compare those two and the way that our body uses them for energy, fat is not an instant energy source, whereas sugar is. It gives you that quick hit straight into the system and gives you that energy straight away, but it's a very short-lived hit, and you'll kind of crash back down and usually feel worse afterwards. So you get this nice little high in energy and then you'll come crashing back down just as quickly as you went up. So fixing your sleep can really help with sugar cravings for this reason. And if you have low energy for any other reason, so thyroid, low iron, hormones, anything that's going on that's impacting your energy levels is going to increase your sugar cravings, stress included. Stress can impact your energy as well. So all of these things, when we start to address like the sleep side of it, get better sleep, get more sleep, change the quality of our sleep, or look at why our energy is low. Is it nutritional deficiencies? Is it, hormone imbalances? Is it stress? Is it any number of things that can impact your energy? When we're actually able to address those things instead of just looking at the sugar cravings, then we can work from the ground up. Does that make sense? So it's like fixing the cause of the sugar cravings. The sugar craving is almost a symptom of something else that's going on. So fix the sleep, address the energy, figure out what's going on there. And if that is the reason for your sugar cravings, then that will reduce, if not get rid of your sugar cravings, right? So that's a couple of them. Next one that I have is your mood. So emotional eating is obviously a thing. And it's something that a lot of people struggle with. And that is a whole kind of topic on its own. Maybe I'll do emotional eating tomorrow for naptime chat. Emotional eating is about emotions. So you can't just use willpower to get rid of that habit. I'm going to make a note. Tomorrow is going to be about emotional eating. So if emotional eating is your kind of issue, if that's what's causing your sugar cravings, then watch tomorrow's video, and I will talk about that then. But basically, when it comes to your mood, so emotional eating aside, from a physical level, when we have sugar, it increases a chemical in our brain that makes us feel good. It's called serotonin. So when we have sugar, our serotonin levels are increased, but similarly to energy, it's a very short-term increase and it can cause a crash afterwards. So if you have mood dysregulation, if you are struggling with depression or depressive states, low mood, anything like that, then you might be craving sugar for its serotonin encouraging abilities. We can get serotonin many, many other ways, exercise being the main one, in terms of natural ones. So you might have heard of serotonin. It's actually what one class of the antidepressant medications work on. So that's how important it is for our mood. That's how one type of antidepressant medication works. Again, working from the ground up, if mood is an issue for you and you struggle with sugar cravings as well, then it's not about fighting those sugar cravings with willpower. It's about looking at how we can regulate the mood, how we can boost serotonin levels naturally and long term, which regular exercise will do, and how we can kind of stabilize that so that it's not causing sugar cravings. I hope that makes sense. I know that some of those are big words, but it's basically that if you are struggling to feel good or your mood is unstable, you will crave sugar to give yourself a kind of happy hormone boost in your brain. That's how it works. And you will get that short hit of happy hormone, serotonin, but your levels will not be sustained through that small amount of sugar that you had. And generally what happens as well is when we keep using sugar to get that serotonin boost, we will eventually need more and more and more sugar to get the same amount of serotonin to make us feel better. So this is when the amount of sugar we're eating and craving becomes kind of out of control, because our body is still searching for that serotonin, but the receptors in your brain have gotten less sensitive, so you need more sugar to give yourself the same result. So it really is a detrimental cycle to be in long term. Natural ways to boost serotonin, regular exercise really is the best way to do that. So that's mood. I'll do emotional eating as a standalone thing tomorrow because that's a big one. Spoken about stress in terms of impacting your energy, but stress actually changes your metabolic state as well, just like sleep does. So when you're stressed, you'll generally crave higher calorie foods, and sugar fits into that category. So that can be a real cause of sugar cravings, is stress. Also, stress can cause us to emotionally eat and feel low in mood and all those things. So it can really be a few factors that can all tie in together, as you can see. Low magnesium. So stress causes your body to use more magnesium, which is one of our minerals. When we're using up lots of magnesium, we can become deficient in that. So if you're going through a period of high stress, generally your body is going through a period of using a lot of magnesium, along with many other things, to cope with that stress. When you have low magnesium, you have sugar cravings. And also when we're stressed, we produce a hormone called cortisol, and cortisol is linked to sugar cravings. So stress can make you feel tired, causes sugar cravings. Stress can make you feel low in mood, causes sugar cravings. Stress increases your cortisol levels, sugar cravings. stress can reduce your magnesium levels, sugar cravings. So stress is a huge one, as well as emotional eating. Stress from a physical level actually causes sugar cravings in so many different ways. So that is a big one, and that's why sugar cravings are not just about willpower, it's about looking at what's actually causing those sugar cravings. So addressing that stress rather than causing yourself more stress by telling yourself that you don't have strong enough willpower and you're doing the wrong thing and you're out of control with food. So yes. The next one that I have on my list is not enough carbs. So carbohydrates are often seen as the worst in the dieting industry. Often diets will be focused on being low carb or even no carb. And the thing is, our bodies need carbohydrates to function. So when you eat carbohydrates, whether it's like a piece of whole grain bread or a banana, when you eat those carbs, your body turns that into glucose, which is the energy form, and we need energy to function. So we use glucose for energy. Our brain uses glucose to function. Our muscles need glucose to move. And we need that source of energy. So what happens when you start restricting carbs to the point where you're not getting enough to meet your needs at a physical level is your body will start to crave sources of carbs that are like the highest density in glucose. So if we compare like a piece of whole grain bread to lollies or ice cream or something like that with refined sugars, those refined sugars are going to give you that glucose, that energy, quicker than those more stable, like lower GI type forms of carbs. So your body doesn't go, oh, I need some carbs, I'm going to crave some sweet potato. Your body goes, I need carbs right now because I haven't been given enough today, and I'm going to crave the most sugar-dense foods that I can think of. So that's when it causes sugar cravings. So when you have tried diets in the past, tried to restrict carbs and ended up binging on like sweet foods or carbohydrate-rich foods, it wasn't that you failed the diet, it was that the diet failed you. The diet didn't give you the carbs that your body actually needed, and it gets to a point where your body can't sustain that, and your brain will send a really strong craving for the highest sugar food that it can think of. So not eating enough carbs can actually lead to sugar cravings, and this is why I'm so big on restriction not being the answer when it comes to food cravings, because often restricting that thing that we're trying to eat less of actually causes cravings for that very thing. So really important that you know that the low carb diets that you've tried in the past that ended up in binge eating sessions weren't your fault. It's a physical response that your body had to that lack of carbs that it was kind of not receiving. Addiction. So sugar is addictive. Studies have shown it's as addictive as cocaine, which is huge. And it actually lights up the same parts of the brain that cocaine and other drugs do. So we can have this addictive response to sugar. So if none of the others kind of make sense for you in terms of where your sugar cravings have come from, it may just be that you've formed an addiction to it and you need to break that addiction. In terms of breaking addiction, for some people, it's a matter of slowly reducing the amount that they have. For other people, it's just cutting it out completely all in one go. It's just a matter of trying and seeing what works for you, but just know that addiction is real when it comes to sugar, and it's not your fault, it's not a failure, it's not anything like that. It's just a physical response that your body can have to sugar is to form that addiction. So breaking the addiction is then the way that you go about getting rid of those sugar cravings and breaking that cycle. Now, the last one, I don't know if I have my chart here. The last one that I want to talk about is blood sugar levels. And I did have a little diagram. I think it will show up backwards on the screen anyway. Blood sugar levels is something that I am super passionate about talking about because not many people know about it, and it really does answer so much of why we struggle with sugar cravings. I don't know what I've done with my chart. I can post a link to the image in the comments below, but I'll explain it. So blood sugar levels is basically when you eat carbs. We've spoken about glucose, right? So when you eat carbohydrates, your body turns that into glucose, and that glucose goes into your bloodstream, where it's then transported around the body to wherever it needs to go. And what happens with, depending on the meal, so it can happen in foods that are low GI, but it can also happen in foods that are high GI. So we're talking about the different kinds of carbs here. If you don't know those terms, it doesn't really matter. So if we use the example of you having like a breakfast smoothie and it's got banana, a bit of milk, honey, and some spinach, right? So that smoothie on its own, basically when it goes into the body, is pure glucose, because it's got the fruit, it's got the honey, it's got some sugars in the milk. It's very high in sugar. Healthy sugars, absolutely, but very high in sugar. So if you're someone that struggles with blood sugar regulation, what this smoothie will do is it causes a really quick increase in glucose in the bloodstream, and then when it increases that quickly, your body produces insulin, which is a hormone you might have heard of. Insulin is your natural body's response. This is meant to happen, but if your blood sugar levels increase too quickly, your body will overproduce insulin, and then your blood sugar levels crash back down. And this is when we start to get this roller coaster of blood sugar levels. Now, the reason that this is an issue is because often when you come crashing back down, you have a sugar craving, because your insulin has taken all of the glucose out of the bloodstream and stored it in the body, and now you have no glucose in the bloodstream, so your brain pipes up with a craving saying, I need more sugar. So it becomes this really dysregulated pattern of blood sugar levels increasing too quickly, too much insulin is produced, and blood sugar levels crashing back lower than they should be, causing cravings. And then when you have the craving, you normally eat some high sugar food again, and off we go again. So it becomes this real roller coaster throughout the day. There is a bunch of ways that we can work with blood sugar regulation, really simple ways, a bunch of simple ways that we can work with changing, like making really simple changes in the way that you eat throughout the day, the meals that you have, adding foods to your meals to change that whole blood sugar regulation pattern. But I find that often if you crave sugar like that kind of 3 o'clock time or after dinner, it normally is a blood sugar thing. So often you can kind of sustain this roller coaster without sugar cravings, and then it gets to a point either like afternoon or evening where your blood sugar's been up and down all day, it's crashed too low, and your body's just given in, give me the sugar, I need it now kind of thing. So, if you're the kind of person that can have like a healthy breakfast, a healthy lunch, and then you're eating the whole cupboard in the afternoon or the evening, then blood sugar regulation is definitely something that you should be looking at. I've got a course coming out soon on this whole thing and how to change the cycle, but there is some really easy ways that we can work with it. So, if you are having like cereal in the morning that's not high in protein, a salad without protein for lunch, like all of these things seem healthy from the outset, but when we look at them closely, they're actually just turning into glucose in the bloodstream. And when we have that over and over again, and the blood sugar levels are going like this, then we have cravings at night. And I know for myself, when I was stuck in this cycle, it became a really vicious cycle because I would start out with the best of intentions every morning. I would have what I thought was a healthy breakfast, what I thought was a healthy lunch. And then in the afternoon, evening, I would just eat so much sugar and I felt out of control. And then after that binge session, I would promise myself that the next day I'd get back on track, and it started again. So if that sounds like something you resonate with or something that you've been through, then definitely blood sugar regulation, blood sugar balance is something that is worth looking at. I just thought about that image that I have, and I don't think there's much point posting just the image because it wouldn't make much sense, but it's basically just what I've explained. I have a graph that kind of shows how your blood sugar can go, but is basically that blood sugar increases too quickly and then insulin is produced and it crashes down and you can have cravings at the end of that. So, Ivy's awake. Yes, so that is everything that I had to say about sugar cravings anyway. I feel like I've babbled on a lot today, but I hope that that makes sense. If you can listen to this video and just kind of pinpoint something in here that you resonate with, it might be all of them, but just start with one, and try to work on that in itself and see how that impacts your sugar cravings moving forward. Sugar cravings are not about willpower. It's about looking at why you're actually having the craving in the first place, and working from that place so that you can avoid the cravings altogether. And when you aren't craving sugar, when you're not feeling out of control with it, then you can actually start to enjoy the foods that you love. This is not about giving up chocolate or cutting out all sugar, unless that's something that you want to do. But for me, what works for me is eating in balance. And so when I was able to stop having those kind of huge uncontrollable cravings, when I was able to stop emotional eating, when I was able to heal my relationship with food, the way I use food, the way I enjoy food, then I can actually stop stressing about it and just enjoy the food that I love in moderation without feeling guilty about it, and all that stuff that we spoke about yesterday as well. So leave me a comment if you have any questions. If I have missed anything or not explained anything properly, then let me know and I will explain further. And if you're just hopping on now, the replay will be coming up soon once Facebook does its thing. If you know anyone that struggles with sugar cravings, please tag them in this video so that they can have a watch. And like I said, I do have a course coming out soon on food cravings and how to actually work from the ground up rather than just fighting them with willpower, because that's what I did for my own food cravings, and it's completely changed the way that I'm able to enjoy food now. So I don't have a date for that. I'm still kind of organising all that, but I will post on my page when that course is up. And emotional eating tomorrow. We'll chat about that in Ivy's nap time. Oh, she might be going back to sleep. She's such a sleepy head. Yes, emotional eating tomorrow. So I will see you then. Have a great day.